मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind also be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my words, thoughts, words and actions. May the truths of the scriptures come in my life. Let the self-effulgent one be experienced by me. May not what I learn from scriptures ever forsake me. I shall speak what is right. I shall speak that which is truth. May my life, day and night, be woven into the supreme truth. Om, peace, peace, peace. Naomi, please switch off the light there. Switch off the light in the dining room. Let us meditate on our true nature, which is divine, infinite, free from all restrictions and limitations, free from desires. In it I am perfect. I am infinite. Even beyond the limitations of space and time. like the infinite, luminous, all-pervading ocean. There is no birth for me, no death either. It is peace, absolute. No vibration, no action. For it alone is. Let us begin with the salutations, 3 Buddhist salutations. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami.
Buddham Saranam Gacchami.
Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami.
Dhammam Saranam Gacchami.
Sangham Sharanam Gacchami.
Sangham Saranam Gacchami.
I take refuge in the Lord Buddha. I take refuge in his teachings, and I take refuge in his tradition. Om, peace, peace, peace. In this study of Shantideva, which is very illuminating and giving guidance to the spiritual aspirants. Spiritual means those who want to attain to the highest level of human possibilities, realize the ultimate existence, consciousness, bliss, and be free. Get beyond all sufferings. This book, as we saw, is based on the teachings of Buddha, the 4 Noble Truths, and associated anecdotes and incidents in the life of Buddha. So we saw that in the last chapter, the 3rd chapter, that this bodhichitta, what is a bodhichitta? The mind that is totally directed towards the attainment of this illumination. The mind has been now filled with that ideal. So, very important thing. Looking at what is worthwhile here, and we are intelligent human beings, not just like the animals pulled through by intellect, guided guided by just instinct. We have intelligence. Thereby we have this capability of discernment, and thus using that we understand that the attainment of that understanding, that awareness whereby one transcends all suffering is the goal of life. In other words, that the devotional scriptures present it, it is God realization. These are just the 2 different words bringing the same one truth, that to experience the divine is same as to experience that awareness which is beyond all suffering, which as a corollary implies that we have to go beyond this limited I-ness, this limited existence. This is, if that is the bodhichitta, what we are normally people engaged in are abodhichitta. Means without proper understanding we live in this world. And the result is obvious for anybody to see. We are confused always, have so many questions, so many conflicting desires. That is how our life becomes because of no clear understanding. Like in a dark room, we are not able to see where to go and thus are confused. So our life here as well is like that. It is uh, just because of lack of wisdom, lack of application of our intelligence to solve this question. And when we see that the answer is to go beyond, that is what is called bodhichitta here, that the mind that now is seeped in this awakening or clear understanding or wisdom, whatever word you may use, all indicate that same thing. Like when you become awakened, and then you become aware where you are and what you need to do and so forth. So the wisdom starts functioning as you wake up. So waking up to the truth that there is no actual individual existence as such is very important, because thinking I am so and so, a big mistake that we are committing, identifying ourselves with constantly changing limiting adjuncts like body. I am this body. What does it mean? Am I this constantly changing heap of flesh and blood? Mm. No, but yet I do that identification. I am these thoughts. Uh, I am depressed or I am elated. Actually, this is mm, not I. These emotions keep on coming and going. I cannot be that. So, when one sees this, in many ways one can look at that. I am observer of the body. So I am observer, body is observed. So I am not body. Hmm? So one should be clear about it. Then also I see the thoughts. Uh, we say also that this thought arose in my mind. So the mind is my and not I. So these uh, important things tell us that uh, I am not having this enlightened awareness, the bodhichitta, but I must have it. And that is the goal. I must have it. It is, I have to strive to get it. That is how the goal gets decided. That I have to do this in my life. Period. There is no but and I don't feel like, and all such obstructions have to be overtaken. Otherwise, the alternative has been described. Okay, suffer in misery. There is no other way out. And let us emphatically tell it to ourselves. There is no other way out. This is what we saw in the third chapter. And now the fourth and the fifth chapter that we shall see the outline of today is about holding on to this. We decide that I want this bodhichitta, but the mind is fickle, doesn't have that dogged determination and perseverance to hold on to that awareness. So there are so many obstacles that come, and we uh, heap them on something outside. Oh, it was so humid and hot today. Yes, that was the condition today. Uh, it was so humid and hot. But that should not become the reason, I mean, for not holding on to this bodhicitta. What has it got? The connection it has got? Uh, do we say that it is, I didn't eat today because it was warm? That has no connection as such, you see. It is, oh, it was very hot today and therefore I didn't take shower. What meaning? It is all meaningless, associations. So, yes, it was very warm and humid. Sometimes it is very cold, sometimes it is nice. And we bring out all these excuses. That is what is called an excuse. Mind has been in the habit of bringing up the excuses, which is very, very detrimental. So, this chapter is about this relying on consciousness. Hold on with, that dogged bulldog tenacity. The bulldog tenacity, because that dog, if it catches hold of somebody, won't let it go. Even that you have to really cut it, either that what is being held or the bulldog. So to get that bulldog to leave it, so that kind of determination and perseverance is to be cultivated. uh, See, this fourth chapter is more about perseverance, and then the fifth chapter is about patience. Mm. That this is a process that takes time. Do not lose heart. So I have chosen a few verses because we don't have that much time to go through each and every verse. There are only two more classes left for this discussion. So what happens? Tell yourself what happens if you have taken up bodhicitta with full awareness that yes, I want liberation. I want to go beyond suffering. Who doesn't want to go beyond suffering? One has to see the cause. That is the second noble truth told by Buddha, the truth of suffering one, and there is the cause of suffering another. So now I have to go beyond this. Suffering means to eliminate this cause. And then there is the possibility of eliminating it. That is the third noble truth. That yes, there is the state. And then fourth is there is a practical path that needs to be traversed. It is a complete, very practical prescription. This is the malady, this is the cause of the malady. And there is this cure of the malady. And this is how you have to uh, take it up. How you can progress is like this to cure the malady. So this is the so it tells that how someone who abandons bodhicitta can then attain liberation is beyond ordinary comprehension. Only the omniscient can know that, means nobody knows that. That means it is not possible. Hmm. Only the omniscient may know. That means nobody knows. When we say only God knows, means nobody knows. So that is the poetic expression that if you abandon this bodhichitta, by abandoning the bodhichitta, now there is no possibility of attaining to that goal for sure. So, uh, for a bodhisattva, abandoning bodhicitta is the heaviest of all downfalls. It is, as we saw earlier, it is working against gravity. This is gravity, what? We are being pulled by the sense attractions, the acquired tendencies of non-bodhicitta. There are those impressions that they keep on pulling us down, and the only vehicle is this bodhicitta that can free us from this. But it is like an engine of the aeroplane is gone, broken. Now it has to fall down. There is nothing to sustain it. The gravity is going to pull it down. It is like that story of some airliner that it was going over the Atlantic, and the pilot announced that sorry, but the one of the four engines is malfunctioning. But still, three engines would be sufficient to carry us, uh, so no need to panic. Then, after some time, well, friends, second engine also is malfunctioning, but two engines can still carry us. Don't despair. Then he says, third engine also is malfunctioning. Then afterwards, he said, one engine may still take us across. But after some time, he announced that, well, uh, please, now I need your cooperation. That those of you who know how to swim, you stand on this side of the aircraft. Those who do not, please stand on this side. Then soon the doors will open on this side, and those who know how to swim, please get out of the aircraft, those who know how to swim. Those who do not know how to swim, thank you for traveling with our airliner, and we hope that you will never be able to. I cannot hope that you will be ever able to patronize our airliner, and so forth, because there is nothing now to hold it. It is the aircraft is going to collapse in the ocean. So, if the bodhicitta is not held on to, biggest downfall. That is the aircraft that is taking us up. So, we have to hold on to it and move. It will take us up. But if we are, there are reasons. One is callousness, indolence. The attitude, okay, it will be taken care of. Uh, no worries, that will happen. So everything in the end will be good, and so forth. That kind of attitude. Mm, No, not good for holding on to bodhichitta. One has to be really uh, pushing all these engines of effort to stay and move forward. If not, the downfall, well, it doesn't need an astrologer to predict it, it is automatic. Uh, Therefore, with all this understanding, I must practice sincerely in accordance with the promise I have made. We make a promise to ourselves or many times to our teacher that yes, I will practice sincerely and regularly. Uh, I have made this promise. And then if I don't keep the promise, who is going to lose? I alone am going to lose. So it is, I must practice sincerely. One aspect of this bodhicitta is this determination that yes, I am going to do it. But this determination starts, in the uh, tempest of so many desires, passions. It kind of likely to collapse unless we hold it firm. You have to hold it firm. Uh, One day, I was driving in a very heavy storm, uh, and in the advisory it was given best not to travel. Don't go. If you are driving, uh, hold the steering with both hands. And then it was around 5 in the morning as we were going to Ridgely Manor. It was the rains were raging, the storm winds were horrible, and the car was shaking. So you have to really hold that steering with both hands tightly. So it is so we have to hold on to our determination, our commitment, and that yes, I will not let this, the tempest of our uh, pulse of senses. It is more than the winds that blow, the winds of uh, sensual passions, they blow still with more velocity and more vigor. So one must be very, very cautious that and alert that I have to hold on to it. So many types of temptations, and the mind succumbs to that just because of callousness. And then we blame onto something else that happened. It is another way, blaming somebody means not applying the right remedy. Mm. Further, uh, pestering this continuation of this misery, the wrong path. So it tells that even though there have been countless Buddhas in the past working to benefit all living beings, because I have so many karmic obstacles, I have not been a direct object of their care. And if I remain like this, again and again I shall have to experience sickness, incarceration, laceration, and mutilation in the lower realms. That is what the sensual pleasures are. Ah, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that what are these worldly pleasures? They are like a a fruit. In Bengal, you get that fruit, which looks like a mango, amda, and then is having a big thick skin and a big pit inside, and there is some gravy stuck in between, which is again very tempting to eat that. But as you eat it, it creates colic in the stomach. So this is what all the worldly pleasures are like. There is a big thick skin and a big pit, and that gravy that is in between, uh, very little, but again that little is enough to cause colic. So this is what it is. He gives another well-known example, that a camel, ah, it is, they eats the all these thorny bushes. And now there is nothing nutritional in that, it's thorns, and the mouth gets lacerated. The blood is coming out, and the blood is being drunk by the camel, and feels how nice it is. So our sense enjoyments are of that type. It is all lacerations and pain, suffering, and then it is incarcerations. What is this incarceration? Because we do something and then we get limited, imprisoned by its effect. So we do something to enjoy, and then a wall, a prison gets made around us. So this is how these obstacles are there. So it is to be remembered. And what should be done? To therefore I should do what? It is, uh, if having found the freedom and endowment of a human life, I do not strive to practice dharma, then there can be no greater self-deception, there can be no greater folly. So the remedy is this: follow, whether it is hot day or cold day. Hmm. We bring both kinds of excuses. Today it was so hot, and then it was so cold, and today the other excuses, it was a very nice day outside, so I went for a picnic or something. It was such a nice day, it is stupid to waste such a nice day, so we went to the beach. That is how we have excuse for not doing, whether it is warm or cold or very nice weather still. So let us not bring up these excuses. I have to practice. Uh, Having understood this, if out of ignorance I remain indolent, then when the time comes for me to die, I shall be choked with unimaginable terror. All remorse, I should have done this, I didn't do. It is so, therefore, I have to uh, practice virtue. This means discipline. Uh, it is that discipline is so very important. Without discipline, there is no spiritual life, friends. We have to, and it has to be held on, adhered to. It is for some minor excuses, we don't do what we should be doing. We know that. Our conscience catches us. There is no outside authority needed to impose discipline. The biggest policeman is right there with us, our conscience. Hey, what is it? You are supposed to practice these things. You committed that. You agreed to do that. And mm, you didn't follow it. So, uh, this is how we get deluded. But this powerful enemy of the delusions in an instant can cast me into that fiery place where even the ashes of Mount Meru would be consumed without a trace. This fire is so strong. Now, the fire will not burn the ashes, you see. The ashes already the fuel is burnt, and what is left over, that which cannot be burned, it is called ashes. But this fire is so terrible that if there is the Mount Meru, it is Himalaya of ashes, a huge mountain, if it can consume that mountain of ashes also, so I will be put into that fire if I do not follow this discipline. Let us remember this, that and stick to our discipline. It is the callous attitude that, okay, maybe tomorrow, or what is the need to do it so urgently? Those things are very, very destructive, friends. Uh, if we do not do, we may have bodhichitta, but we will be not be able to hold on to it. We will fall from that. It will be a big fall. It is. So we have to remember this. Oh, diligence, diligence, where will you go when banished by the eye of wisdom and expelled from my mind? And from where will you return to harm me again? But being weak minded, I am reduced to making no effort. Weak mindedness, fickleness, that it is uh, delusions, they become the realities. It is this world, its promises, they become reality for us. That this is promising me happiness. Uh, but uh, when banished by the eye of wisdom banishes these delusions. Uh, But when, if I don't practice, that eye of wisdom will not come to me, and from where will you return to harm me again? But being weak minded, I am reduced to making no effort. If we make effort, yes, we will progress. We with this diligence will not have any effect on us if we persevere. And so it is, this is in short what he is telling, that please remember that you have to practice. And it is next chapter as titled here is mainly the qualities of patience, but that it is guarding the mind with alertness. One must be alert and continue with alertness. It is how long should we be alert? It is told that it is like you, if you are driving in a crowded road, how long you should be alert? Well, as long as you are driving, you should be alert. It is, what is the question, It is, if you are not alert, one moment is enough, to push you, our, uh, that uh, Bishop Paul, who used to come here, uh, is in Virginia now. So some couple of years ago, he arrived back from France and from at the airport, and then he thought that he should mm, wait, sleep, and then uh, go. His car was at the airport. But he thought, well, it is not, I'm not so sleepy right now. Let me go. It is just, after all, a short distance, 1 hour drive. Uh, and then he started. He was okay. But a moment of sleep, and he ended up um, just had to be pulled out of the car. The car had struck a tree. It was totaled, and he survived, but many injuries. So, uh, alertness, because all these our enemies, they are inside. One problem with us is that we see that they are outside. Uh, that my neighbor is not cooperative, he always troubles me. Um, or my mother-in-law is terrible. Yes, get all those things, that they are not really enemies, they are all inside. There is no enemy outside. Ah, but our attention always is outside, correcting the world. Let me correct that situation. Let me fight against uh, this capitalists who are uh, bringing all sufferings. Well, it is this delusion one has to get rid of. This habit is always, a problem, that to see outside. And there is the problem. Mm. It is, I told you, I think, a story of that one. A senile person was being, on the beach. An attendant was taking him in a wheelchair. Now on the beach there are those seagulls, and so one seagull dropped the dropping on the head of this man. Ah. And then this attendant said, "Oh, don't worry, I will run and get a towel and water." And so he went away. This senile person said, "What a stupid fellow he is. By the time he comes, the seagull would have gone miles away." So, this is to be washed, that is, he is not aware of. That seagull needs to be washed. So it is, yeah, like, if you are pooping, then you clean yourself, you see. So he thought that the seagull needs to be cleaned. And so we are always thinking of outside, that it is correction has to be applied here. So this chapter is about that. A crazy, untamed elephant in this world cannot inflict such harm as the suffering of the deepest hell caused by the rampaging elephant of the mind. Rampaging elephant of the mind. But if the elephant of our mind is bound tightly on all sides by the rope of mindfulness, alertness, it has to be bound on all sides. All fears will cease to exist, and all virtues will fall into our hands. Mm. Yes, it is so simple that just tie that elephant and with strict rules of discipline. then it will not create any such problems for us. If we don't, then imagine what can happen. You have no power against it. But if it is tied, then it can disciplined, then it can do great work for us. So therefore it is a controlled mind and uncontrolled mind. In the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in some very first verse number I think 4, it is said that uh, our best friend is our mind. Atmaiva hi atmano bandhu. Best friend is our mind. And then Atmaiva Ripur nobody else but this our mind. Here Atma, and the commentator clarifies that friend is the well controlled mind, and the enemy is the uncontrolled mind. So uncontrolled mind keeps on hurting us like the elephant on rampage. And the controlled mind is the trained elephant. They do lot of work, very useful work. It is an elephant works as a school bus, in that deep forest of Arunachal Pradesh, and all such roads there. And but lots of elephants. So the elephants are tamed to do tremendous work. That so it is gradually the situation is changing, but that has been the case. Trained elephants, they were like the big trucks carrying so many things. It is in the warfare they were used as very effective weapons against the enemies. So uh, it is so this has to be done, putting the controls there. If not, well, the result is obvious what can happen. It is um, sometimes it is told a mad bull in a china shop, where they are selling all the cutleries. If the big mad bull gets into there, and then it is all will be that rampage there. Mm. It is not possible to subdue unruly beings who are as extensive as space, but simply destroying the mind of anger is the same as overcoming all those foes. One that has been singled out here is anger. If one gets angry, then it just makes all our understanding so skewed. And not only that, anger will make us lose control of all other our sensible faculties. We would act in that rash madness. Then we will repent, but by that time the damage is done already. Lot of damage gets done through that burst of anger. There was an article interviewing many criminals who had committed murder and were undergoing life's sentence. That, well, how did you commit it? That fellow did it and I got so mad at it. I got so mad at him that I just attacked, and then I didn't mean to kill him, but in the anger I lost all control and killed that fellow. So it is uh, It is not that if you have control, you might not have gotten angry. Uh, if you get angry, then even if you decide, I am going to give that fellow just one blow, it doesn't work like that. It is so, therefore, anger makes us do things which are completely unjustified for our own good, for our own good gets destroyed by anger. So therefore, he specifically, Shantideva here tells about anger. Uh, so, where is there another leather to cover the surface of earth? And this is sorry, where is there enough leather? Again brings it back to know the correct yourself. That no, I will correct the whole world. I will teach those people a good lesson, and thus we don't learn and they don't learn. You see, and because it is through teaching oneself that we can impart some education to others. We don't learn, they don't learn. So it is there enough leather to cover the surface of the earth? No, but if you cover your feet, put shoes on the feet, then Jitendra can walk whole distance in the mud. The mud will not stick on his feet. So it is effectively like covering the whole earth with leather. That is the wisdom. If you want to make the world happy, then the best thing is to realize God, and then everything will be happy. All the world will become then filled with happiness. It is, you see that everything is a wave. All these waves of bliss are rising on the ocean of bliss. It is all ocean of bliss, and the waves also are therefore waves of bliss. It is ocean of water, the waves are water. The ocean is bliss, the waves also are bliss. So that gets understood and experienced through this practice, that one has to keep on doing this practice. Uh, in the same way, it is not possible to control all external events, but if I simply control my mind, what need is there to control the other things? Hmm. Yeah, the people who are attached to this world, they never understand this. And they always question that what is the use if I meditate, what is the use of it to the world? I may, who knows, I may get some enlightenment, but then I am not, it is being selfish. It is, our Charlie has those accusations all the time, that it is selfish to meditate, it is selfish, not to. No, we should instead go and uh, work. And what work means? Protest, cause already there is lot of noise, and then you create more noise. So, this is how. Uh, so, what happens? That it is uh, just as I would be careful of a wound when it is when in a jostling and unruly crowd, So should I always guard the wound of my mind when amongst those who might provoke delusions. Mm. We should always keep holy company. Mm. But uh, if I have to go out, then there will be so many different people around me. Uh, and how should I deal with them? Well, you have to be on guard. Just because you have determined that you will hold on to bodhichitta doesn't mean everybody else in the world should go somewhere in the corner and should not come in front of you. They will have their own way of living. They will try to, not consciously, but automatically they may, tell their ideas to you that, oh, after all, the life is for this merriment. And then look what that Russia is doing. We must denounce that and act against them. All the mind gets filled with all that. The head then does not stick to the spiritual practice. So we should beware of that. Our one Swami who used to teach us used these two words, very beautiful words, awareness and bewareness. Awareness of your true divine nature, have full faith of that, on that. Be aware that I am divine. Mm, that inner divinity is never gone away, it is always there. So let us be aware of that. I am divine, and beware that you are not yet there. And you have to doggedly uh, pursue this path. You have to go on this path till you reach the goal. So that is bewareness. There will be, of course, circumstances, but you have to see, don't get into it. If you have to get into it, then take adequate care that you don't get influenced by it. Mm. Like, don't go where there is lot of infection. If you have to go, then put on face mask or take other precautions, you see, so that you remain safe. So you have to take adequate precautions and do the proper things, like this. You have to drink water. It is a must. Not drinking water is not an option. But if the water is not uh, clean and pure, then well, apply the means to make it pure and get the proper purifying agents. And because if you drink impure water, that will have a detrimental impact. So they do not receive those. Therefore, those who are spiritual aspirants, if they live in monastery, those who are very serious about it, they live in monastery, because monastery is supposed to have strict discipline. That discipline is a help, and discipline, so that you do not have to go mixing with other people uh, who can disturb you. So, uh, therefore, it is told, if you have to go, then you have to. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell that it is, he used to sing a song of Ram Prasad, that it is If you have to go swimming in a river where there are crocodiles, so apply. They say, I don't know, I never had that experience. But if you apply turmeric all over, then the crocodiles don't come to bite you. So it is apply that. So means take precautions. Don't overindulge. That it is do your work for which you are there, and that too keep on thinking of your ideal, your goal. Do whatever work is to be done and finished. And yeah, it is. Otherwise, one may get into some uh, indulgence and come to harm. Very important that it is. One may come to harm through these things. It may start as a very little something, but it goes, then it becomes big. So, therefore, it is important that we take all these precautions. So, and then the sixth chapter is that cultivating, relying on patience. And we shall take it up later, next Tuesday. Here are so many, important hints given to guard yourself, because there will be other pulls opposite to where you want to go. And so be clear not to succumb to them. It is uh, with my palms pressed together, I beseech those who wish to guard their minds, always put effort into guarding both mindfulness and alertness. Mindfulness and alertness. Mindfulness is that it is the same thing, awareness and bewareness. That be mindful of what is the truth, and then be alert that the mind may run, it is in other directions. So this is what uh, just as people who are troubled by sickness have no strength for any kind of physical work, so those whose minds are disturbed by confusion have no strength for any kind of virtuous action. And this is a matter of our everyday experience. That when we are confused, then that weakens us. Biggest weakness comes due to confusion, whether to do this or to do that, or no, I don't know anything. So because I don't know anything, it is a very painful state. I cannot do anything, so I feel let me sleep. But that also doesn't come because of the confusion. You cannot sleep also. So confusion puts us in lot of problems. So takes away all our strength. So do not get into that. Hold on to the truth and move forward. Be mindful. A disciplined life is thus, as I began this class, a highly disciplined life. The discipline is a comprehensive word, that it should be the mental discipline, physical discipline, and the discipline of positive type, and the negative type means to do and not to do. So, uh, any questions about today's discussion? You have a question, Charlie, or you don't have a question?
I do.
Oh, okay.
When I'm at home, I just start automatically thinking about all the worst things I've ever done that I've been criticized for. How do I stop doing that?
Oh, well, Don't do all those worst things,
Well, I
even
don't
if
do
you
them
think.
anymore, but
Yeah, so if they come, it is the question of mind, it is when you are at home, all those things come. That is why you have your spiritual advice, your mantra, keep on doing that. It is very powerful. When some such thought appears, uh, just keep on repeating the mantra. It is very, very helpful as a big spiritual protective gear. Mm. It is when I am out and traveling and all, I keep on repeating it all the time. uh, any other question? Is there a question there? Yeah. So let us conclude with the closing these chants again. ॐ बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि सङ्घं शरणं गच्छामि I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in his teachings. I take refuge in his tradition. Om, peace, peace, peace.
I am wondering, when you go swimming with a crocodile,
So everywhere, uh, don't do best. But if you have to do, then take adequate precautions so that you do not get affected by that.
Why look, if you put on the turmeric, then crocodile doesn't have to put any more spices. So turmeric is there.
yeah, maybe they like it.
Yeah.
And maybe you put it on your head and, get your head wet. When someone ducks their head, it's like, oh, who knows? Wonder how they thought.